Well, as we mentioned in our opening segment, the EPC Boys Volleyball Tournament gets underway tonight. 6 combatants there, 4, however, in EPC Boys Lacrosse. That tournament gets underway this evening as well. Let's take a look at the 4 combatants who have qualified for the East Penn Conference Boys Lacrosse Tournament this season. You see the 1 through 4 seeds, Central Catholic, Parkland, Easton, and Freedom in that order. All 4 teams finishing with exactly 14 wins. But when it comes to league play, Central takes the cake. 9-0 went the Vikings during the regular season. Parkland and Easton both finished 7-2 in league play. The Trojans winning the head-to-head tiebreaker with the Red Rovers. Freedom at 6-3, qualifying for the EPC Boys Lacrosse Tournament this season as well. The first of those semifinal games underway as we speak. The 2-3 showdown between Parkland and Easton at 7:30 tonight as part of that twin bill at Northampton. It'll be top-seeded and defending champs, Central Catholic, taking on the Freedom Patriots. With much more as we prepare for the EPC Boys Lacrosse Tournament, let's bring in our resident lax lover, Gwen Begley. Gwen, quick observation from taking a look at that bracket: a usual suspect missing and a new invitee to the party this year.
Yeah, this is the huge storyline, right? Obviously, something's amiss here. Well, it's not really amiss. Emmaus falls from the tournament for the first time in nearly 2 decades, and Freedom now takes over in that spot. The Freedom Patriots have done so much in building up this program under head coach Tony Fabrizio. They had some huge upsets this year. They beat Emmaus for the first time ever, 10-8, and little did they know that would be the deciding factor in putting them in their first ever EPC playoff. There's been some other parity in the league as well. Easton took Freedom to the wire. They handed them their very first loss of the year, and they beat Emmaus as well in that same week. So much parity, and it's so nice to see that this is evidence that this sport is growing and competition is getting better. And while it's unfortunate for Emmaus, some other teams that didn't make it, it's really nice to see another team thrown in the mix here.
So Emmaus may be a little fuel for the fire heading into the District 3A tournament coming up in just a few weeks. Let's focus on the 4 teams that are in the EPC Boys Lacrosse Tournament, and simply put, give me your team to watch in the 4-team field this year.
Well, this is kind of an obvious one, right? I'd kind of be silly to not pick Allentown Central Catholic. I mean, they're defending state champions. They're defending champions in everything that you could have competed for. And a lot of that starts with Ben Scandone scoring an insane goal in a 10-goal win over Parkland, which was slated to be the biggest matchup of the year. So they're really good at learning from their mistakes. Their closest games were against Easton and Emmaus. Mature, composed, incredible leadership with guys like Ben Scandone, Chuck Kaczynski, Mike Driscoll. Speaking of Chuck Kaczynski, he was named last week the EPC MVP. They have multiple options at faceoff. Chuck is really good at the faceoff. They like to use that pole, and sometimes they put 2 poles at the midfield, which is a lethal combination if you see them. They are hungry to prove last year wasn't a fluke. A lot of people gave them a lot of flack saying, all right, well, you did it last year, but you had guys like Jack McGorry, who was the EPC MVP last year. They lost some of those guys. Davis Ike in net. A lot of people thought they would fall off, but not the case. They want to prove that they can do this again 100%.
So Central Catholic, your team to watch it, and the thing that stands out for them, senior leadership, guys that have been there, done that. You mentioned Ben Scandone, Chuck Kaczynski, Augie Barr, Liam Drake, Mike Driscoll, all seniors on that Vikings team. Do you have an honorable mention for team to watch?
I do. So it's Easton. And this is what I kind of mentioned for a couple minutes ago. They've surprised a lot of teams this year. And what really throws people off is their big men on attack. You got Sean Wilson, he's a football player, and you got Trent Griffin, he's a football player as well. I mean, these guys, kids aren't used to seeing them in this position. And they want to advocate for themselves and say, hey, just because we're big guys, I mean, these guys are 230 plus pounds, 6'4", 6'5". I mean, some of these kids aren't used to seeing those guys in the field, and they want people to know that they can run, they can score, they can play lacrosse just like the rest of the kids. And they've proved that. They've done incredible this season. They rattled Freedom, they rattled Central. So they could be a sneaker.
They defeated Freedom and Emmaus late in the season, did the Red Rovers. So your team to watch, Central, with a 1B selection of Easton. You've already mentioned a number of individuals so far. Let's hone in on a particular player to watch in the upcoming tournament.
All right, so my player to watch for this one is senior faceoff Matt Baracco from Parkland. Games are won and lost at the faceoff and at the midfield, and he has just been lights out for this team. Gaining possession is half the battle. This team with the Fogo paired with the best midfield is strong contender for gold. He's won 178 of 214 faceoffs this season, so 84% right now. And he can score too, right off the faceoff. He has 15 goals, 2 assists. He's headed to Harvard next fall. So this kid is smart. He became an Eagle Scout in the fall. He's level-headed, strategic, and he's the face-off for Team USA U18. So if you let him get rolling, you're probably gonna have a bad time. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention an honorable mention in Ben Scandone from Allentown Central Catholic. 41 goals, 24 assists this year. He's also another guy that's just been absolutely fantastic throughout the whole year. He got first team EPC All-Star. That's a given for him. He's headed to Drexel in the fall.
Yeah, so you got Baracco going to Harvard. You've got Scandone going to Drexel. Two pretty good eggs there. Okay, we've touched on teams to watch and players to watch. But what we love when these tournaments roll around, when an unsung hero comes through, maybe an upset here or there. So give us a potential dark horse in the EPC Boys Lacrosse tournament.
Well, it's their first time in the EPC tournament. They want to make a splash, so we're going to go with Freedom. I mean, this team has the potential to rattle some feathers and be EPC champions for the first time ever, possibly. Goalie Ryan Hathaway, he's one of the best goalies in the league. They have a really strong utility guy in Jared Carabinas, who's strong at the faceoff. He's strong on attack as well. They frustrate teams. They're fast. They have multiple weapons that can fire from any angle. They had a really tough schedule with weeks jam-packed full of games. That Easton game was their first loss. That was like their 4th game in 5 days or so. So they were pretty tired in that one. So it's going to be a really tough task when they face Central Catholic, when they just faced them last week. They did rest their starters in that 19-0 loss. So hopefully they'll have enough days rest where they can really compete against a really strong Allentown Central Catholic team.
Freedom, first time in, looking to make an impression. And even if, you know, things don't go Freedom's way, because they have to run the gauntlet right away against Central Catholic. They've got a whole host of young players that this is going to be incredible experience for them. Juniors, Jake Ballerini and Alex Hume, both juniors. And then you got sophomores in Jared Carabinas and Alex Greenberg. These are guys that are getting that postseason experience now, part of that Freedom program that's been building towards having success over the last handful of years.
Yeah, and if you talk to the kids, they're so nice and they're so excited just to have the opportunity to be in this position. I mean, whenever I interview them, they kind of are flooded with emotions a little bit, especially after that Emmaus win 10-8. Those kids have never experienced something like that, and Emmaus has always been seen top tier in the lacrosse world. You know, it's been those same 4 teams every single year since I've been here, at least. So these kids, they feel special, they want to be special, and they want to make an impact in this, and they just got a great group, and I'm happy to see them competing in this tournament this year.
Should be an awfully fun tournament and an excellent lead up to the district tournament. In case you can't tell, best time of the year, happiest time of the year for Gwen Begley. Gwen, thanks so much. We'll hear from you much more on the lacrosse front as the weeks move along.